Okay, quick status update, then we'll get to some video, okay? In the last video, I talked about beans. I saw a game once, a long time ago. You started off with your pile of beans. Do you eat the beans, plant the beans, sell the beans, trade beans for what you need? When you run out of beans, that's it. I mostly survive on coffee, oatmeal, Clif Bars, beans, rice, and chili. Beer was just too heavy on the bicycle. The land is paid for or sold. The house is built with no rent payments. The cell phone is actually a huge pile of beans now. Or Clif Bars even. I realized almost no one was looking at the website, so that got cancelled. Poof, gone. Income from the videos overall is down. Numbers are up, subscribers are up, income's down. Wonderful. Sure, the COVID mess has set everything back, and there's not a lot I can do about that. Cutting expenses can backfire, but sometimes it's a choice, a sacrifice, to trade something now for something better in the future. April 2020, I sold the truck. That seemed pretty drastic, but a year and a half later, I'm still surviving okay without it. I'll be suspending or pausing my cell phone service. There's an option to pause for 90 days. It'll come back on automatically at the end of the 90 days, so that'll be sometime in January 2022. I've done deployments that were longer than that, no big deal. So just pretend I'm off doing something exciting, and try not to worry. The YouTube videos will still be there. And I can always upload from a Wi-Fi hotspot for free. So, library, maybe some restaurants, etc. The first 2 or 3 years on the ranch, I didn't have working cell phone here anyway, so that part is nothing new. We all know the phrase, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result. And yet, as a society, we have high regard for the underdog, someone who keeps showing up against all odds, that just won't quit. So, is persistence actually insanity? When I sold off part of the ranch, I reduced my debt load considerably, and it gave me better options. When I sold the truck, I reduced my monthly expenses, and I got at least different options. Sacrifice isn't about just giving something up. It's about trading something for something better. Money is traded for time all the time. I can slow down and save some money. I'm kind of looking forward to taking a break from the constant distraction and noise on the internet. I think I'll just do a reset and see how I feel next year. Alright, we'll try to shoot this fast before the bugs find me. End of summer, but the bugs haven't let off yet. So, there we go. Step 1, remember to disconnect the brakes. I don't know how many times I forget that. Alright, so what's going on here? Let's see. There's one. I heard this one go. It actually got snagged in something, but I had so much speed going that time that it just wrapped itself back into the wheel, thankfully. There's that one there. There's a broken one. And the one next to it. Yeah, huh? As luck would have it, they all seem to break on the sprocket side. I'm not a good enough bike mechanic to know if there's any reason for that or if it's just really bad luck, which means I have to take the freewheel, the sprockets off. So, I'm getting better at that. Grab your socket, 15 millimeters, spin this guy off. I haven't been putting as many videos out lately. I'm kind of at a point where I'm stuck in between projects. Then it got hot and with the bugs, you just feel like you don't want to be outside anymore. So let's see. This is the black bike. This is the one I've been pulling the trailer with, so that's what the hitch is for. I never did get around to making a proper gooseneck hitch, which I think would be better. 2 of the bikes now. I'll get a shot of this. With some of the fantastic support I had a couple of months, I was able to upgrade. So this bike has got a 250 watt Bafang motor. The blue bike, which is the single speed bike, also got an electric motor. So I got the same motor on the blue bike and the black bike. If I think I've got a light load at the post office, I take the blue bike and no trailer and just put everything in the backpack. There may be a way to do this, but I haven't figured it out. So, to get the sprocket off the freewheeler. This is the ratcheting thing, right? To get that off, you get a special tool. This has got splines on it that match inside of this. And we take, in this case, it's a 1-inch wrench. Fits onto the tool. Pretty tight. And there we go. As it turns out, there's one, there's two, there's the third one. At least 3 this time. Hopefully I got enough spare spokes still. Here's my collection of leftover broke spokes. That one's bent. Probably straighten them out and try to get a little more out of them. I've got a spare wheel off of one of the other spare bikes. You'd think this would be perfect, right? Well, it turns out the size of the hub, the width on this one is, I think, one size bigger than this one. So I can't put this wheel on the black bike. Yeah, so it's just a little bit wider, just enough that it won't fit. What's going on though is the bikes with front suspension, those electric motors I'm using, are just wide enough. They don't fit between the dropouts, or whatever you call these, on the wheels, on the front fork. So the black bike, these are the forks from the black bike. So I actually took the suspension off of the black bike so that I could put the electric motor on. Now on my road that was a tough choice, but I needed the boost. One of the other bikes had a different setup on the fork, so I was able to fit it. So I've got 2 sets of forks that would fit the electric motors, plus the one on the blue bike. Those fit. What I'm looking at later, I can get an upgraded set of front forks with better suspension that will fit the electric motors. The electric motors came with disc brakes. These don't have the brackets on them. So if I get a new set of front forks, they'll fit the electric motors and fit the brackets, but that's about $100 a set. You know, do I want to put $100 into fixing a $100 bicycle? So I do have a few spare wheels. This has been the hardest part of this whole project, it seems like. I have spare parts, but they don't always fit the other bike. Step 1, after you get the wheel off, go ahead and take the valve core out, let the air out of the tire. It seems a little bit easier. Take the core out. These tires have been on and off the wheel so much they're actually pretty easy to change now. This is one of the advantages of this instead of motorcycles. Motorcycles, you actually needed your tire irons. These you usually don't. Okay, so we'll leave that there. This isn't necessarily an instruction series on how to build a wheel, it's just me doing it. So, alright, the way I do it, step 1, find a comfortable chair, preferably in the shade or someplace where you got a fan. And we'll just do one of these at a time. So there's the broken one. Slide it out through the hole, take the nipple off, that's actually a technical term. Figure out which way it was going. In the wheel, they're opposite directions. So one goes down, one comes up. I have no idea why these are so bent, but at this rate, it's basically triage. Anyway. Okay, so this one goes through this way. That one, I think. Just kind of keeping track because I've got multiple broken at the same time. So take a moment, figure out the pattern. Once you got the pattern, it goes the same way all the way around the wheel. So you figure out one goes here. Yeah, every 4th one. No. Get it wrong, it ain't going to get any better by itself. So the nipple through the outside, And yeah, all three of the broken ones are facing the drive sprocket. And this one. I don't want to take another wheel apart. Some wheels are set up with a little bit of an offset because of where the sprocket is. So they can set up a wheel where your hub is here and your wheel is actually offset to one side or the other, so that the wheel sits centered in the frame. Your hub is pushed to one side to account for the sprocket on the other side. So it's possible that your spokes from one side could be a different length than the spokes on the other side. That's one of the techniques that they use. So these are measured in, I think, 5mm increments. So you would order a bundle of spokes. Maybe you'd get 36, because I think most of these are 36 spoke wheels. I ordered spokes for the blue bike, and I got them all the same length, and I didn't even think about the offset. I don't think that one is offset, and these ones I haven't really paid too much attention. Oops, it's a possibility. Oops, that's backwards. This one goes the other way. Yeah, there's a lot to know about bicycles, you know, that you just don't think about it. You're like, oh, it's just a bike, it's not too complicated. There's a few little things that, I mean, like getting the hub off, you need a special tool. The blue bike is a single speed bike. It uses a different tool, so I had to go buy another tool for that bike. You know, little things like that that just add up. I mean, everything you do, there's always going to be some special tools involved. But bikes, there seems to be a lot. When you think about it, you know, you start off with a $100 bike. You could spend $100 on all the tools you needed to you know, put it back together with. So when I'm putting the spokes on, I'll just put a little bit of tension on them, kind of like get it equal to the one next to it, kind of thing. There are specific tension gauges you can get for your spokes to get them all to the right tension. There are upgraded spokes. They're about $1 a piece, so it's not a huge deal. So 36 bucks for 36 spokes, something like that. Every broken spoke I've got broke down right at the tip here. This is also why I tried so hard to make the motorcycle tires work on the blue bike electric trike, because I was breaking so many spokes. I thought, let me go get motorcycle wheels. They were about $100 a set. By the time I do $36 worth of spokes on the wheel, it's not that big of a leap to think I could maybe break even just by not breaking spokes all the time. Plus it would be more durable, so then I wouldn't have to think about it so much. Now I'm being super careful, trying to get, you know, I'm slowing right down to a slow walk, going through the roughest parts of the road, and I'm still breaking 2 or 3 spokes a ride sometimes. So I'm just checking to see if there's any more that I didn't know about. Okay, that's all of them. So yeah, 3 again. So next I'll just put this on the bike frame as it is, without putting everything back together. I'll just spin it on real quick, spin it in the wheel, and see how it looks. So let's go do that, and then I'll take my spoke wrench with me. I'm not going to engage the chain, but I still got to get around the chain to get this on. So. I think the one I saw from Park Tools is about 150 bucks. Right? The amount of wheels that I've had to repair out here, I could probably justify that. At this point, see if it's relatively straight, and then I'll probably go around and just check all the tension on all the spokes. Okay, there's a wobble there, but it's not too bad. When the spokes are broken, I've had the wheel or the tire actually hit the frame in one spot. It'll go kunk, kunk, you know. In fact, on the blue bike one time, I broke so many spokes I couldn't ride the bike, and that happened in town, so I'm 15 miles from home. So. Also, the wheel is lumpy a little bit. I don't worry about that so much, because you really need a stand to do that Because if you get too many tight spokes on one side of the wheel, the whole wheel will go up and down. So it's definitely, there's an art to doing this the right way. I don't spend as much time as I should. So I'm going to tighten up the spokes on this side to pull it back. We'll do one turn and check it again, or half a turn maybe. Try it and see what it looks like. This really also makes a difference on if your brakes are going to work or not. Because if you get too much wobble in the wheel, you can't get your brakes really tuned right, because you got to leave enough room for the wheel to wobble. So I'm going to back off that one, tighten this one. For my stuff, I'm going to leave this as like it is. I'm going to go around though and just see if there's any that are really loose. For what I'm doing, this is good enough. These are really fine threads, so try not to get it cross-threaded. Because the first time you pedal it, it's going to get tight anyway. And that's good enough. When you're pedaling, it tightens it. So to get it off, I mean, when Park Tools made that tool, they sized it for a 1-inch wrench. Okay, I use a pretty good amount of force to break this loose, because when I'm pedaling this, I'm standing on the pedals going up the hill. Taking it apart is much easier when the tire is still on and inflated, because you can use that to help hold the wheel. I made that mistake a bunch of times where I'm not thinking, I pop the wheel off, then I realize, oh yeah, I'm going to have to get this thing loose. While putting a lot of pressure on this wheel without the tire, it's slippery, right? Find your stem hole. There. Oops. Works good enough. I don't have to completely take everything apart, but these tires are pretty wore out too, so they're easy to get back on. Okay, little valve stem. I bought a bunch of tire slime and I haven't been using it. I like tire slime, I just haven't put it in the last few tires. The slime cap is a valve tool. Finally, when one of the neighbors gave me all the bikes, this was in the set, so that's nice. But just the idea of being on the side of the road, replacing spokes, I guess it depends. Of all the broken spokes, only one time has it been so bad I couldn't get home. Alright, valve cap back on. This little stand I made out here has actually worked out pretty well, for the most part. Wheels up and the handlebars down kind of thing. And you look at it the right way and it seems confusing. Alright. Trailer out of the way. Better at that. The wheel is straight. Lots. Oh yeah, that makes a difference. Yeah, the good thing about having two working bikes is at least I got a choice. One doesn't work, I can maybe take the other one. Alright, one mission done, right? While I'm thinking of it, when I was building the house, I had already set up the bus with a water pump and the electricity and stuff from the solar system. So I built this box on the outside. So my water pump is here, and also some of the power going back and forth between the bus and the house. So I built this, then built the house, and then just ran plumbing from here to the house. This is going to be my water for the shower, so I just put some water in here, leave it out in the sun for a couple hours. Now we're at the end of September, so it's starting to cool down, but I still got plenty of sun, so I'll do this as long as I can, and then I'll have to go back to heating water a more normal way. But for now, turn the pump on. Fill this up. A little bit of water is cheap entertainment if it keeps the birds and the rabbits happy, right? I don't know if I ever really showed this or not. So, your typical automatic watering dishes from Walmart hold about a gallon. Just get out of the sun. Put it in there and then it keeps itself full. These things out in the sun, I could see the plastic was starting to fade and the water would really evaporate fast. So one day I was thinking about it. Some scrap metal, this is left over from the school bus seats. Put it over it, put a rock on top. South is this way, north is that way. So that keeps the water mostly out of the sun, so it doesn't evaporate as much, and I get much, much less algae growing. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. But I'm still seeing the water level going down, so I know something's drinking out of it. There's one over there kind of by a tree. Here's the turtle garage and the house and the bus, so you get an idea. So I'll go do the other ones. Not much for mosquitoes, but the flies keep going up my nose.